800 individuals, providing essential items and support, bringing hope and dignity to them. Through these efforts, we transform the waste of some into the treasure of others, promoting sustainability and community welfare.
A very good morning and welcome to WishwaTalks. My name is Trishant, and I thank you all for attending today's event on Zoom and to those watching on YouTube Live. For those of you who have attended a WishwaTalk before, a warm welcome back. And for our new joinees, here's a little bit about us. WishwaTalks is a platform to create awareness amongst people and to protect our social heritage and to let people make their own decisions. Here, we invite experts to discuss and explore diverse opinions, different perspectives, various issues, problems, and their solutions on various fields, including art and culture, healthcare, environment, education, and many more. So far, we have covered over 230 talks, and each webinar is an interactive session with a deeper understanding of the topic at hand. If you miss any part of the session or would like to go through the previous sessions, please visit our website or WishwaTalks YouTube channel for a full library of past WishwaTalks on various interesting topics. Excuse me. It is truly a privilege to have with us a leader whose work sits at the powerful intersection of innovation, governance, and meaningful impact, Professor Sridhar Papisetti. With over 2.5 decades of experience, Professor Sridhar has not just been a part of institutions, he has helped build and shape them. As the founding director of the Kautilya School of Public Policy and the former chief operating officer at IIM Bangalore's Center for Public Policy, he has played a defining role in nurturing spaces where ideas grow into real-world change. Today, he continues this journey by leading AI innovation at brandvelocity.ai and serving as a trustee at the 1 Billion Lives Foundation. His work goes beyond technology and strategy. It is deeply rooted in improving lives, strengthening systems, and creating solutions that truly matter, both locally and globally. A mentor to many startups and a published author in Harvard Business Review, Professor Sridhar is a strong believer in the potential of young minds to lead transformation. His passion for tech-enabled citizen services and progressive policy reforms reflects a vision where innovation is not just advanced, but accessible and impactful. As an educator, he has inspired students across institutions like IIM Indore, IIFT Kakinada, encouraging them to think critically, act responsibly, and contribute meaningfully to the society. Today, we are not just hearing from an expert, we are learning from someone who has dedicated his life to shaping a better, more thoughtful future. Without further ado, I now invite Professor Sridhar Papisetti to give his insights on quality of life in cities, what's broken and what's next, simple ways to reduce waste. Apologies, that's one of the things. Yeah, what's broken and what's next.
Thank you so much, Trishant, for the warm welcome. And it's a pleasure to be again back at WishwaTalks and engage on a wonderful weekend afternoon. So let's get started. Can we bring on the slides, please?
Correct.
All right. So as Trishant already suggested, we are going to look at the quality of life, and I'm going to use two lenses. Predominantly, there is a third lens which you will discover as you go forward. One is as individuals, and second is as citizens of the country. What can we do? I wear many hats, but today I'm predominantly wearing the hat of a public policy and governance specialist, and also an academician who looks at some cutting-edge ideas and how do we make it available to more and more people. Next slide, please. All right, so what is the central idea today that we are going to talk about? So the central idea is about how do our personal choices, as well as our public institutions, together shape a life of dignity, opportunity, and well-being. And that's the central idea on which I'll be elaborating and we will discuss as we go forward. Next slide, please. And before we start, just want to get a sense of what people feel in the room. The first question is, who here feels that quality of life has improved in the last 5 years? A quick message or a show of hands, whatever is convenient for you. How many of you feel quality of life has improved in the last 5 years? Okay, so first message is that it's improved both in 5 and 20 years. I'm glad to see PG Bhatt sir says that it has improved. Okay, so somebody is more optimistic about the last 5 years. Yes, in 20 years, more than the last 5 years. Very good. So we are able to see a sense of general positivity about how we have improved. And some prefer last 20 years to be better than 5. Some prefer the 5 better than 20. And okay, so there is also some amount of people who are saying that there is some amount of deterioration as compared to 50 years ago. So we understand that all of us have a sense of what quality of life is. We have our own definitions and what's improving, what's not improving, right? Let's try and put a little more definition around this. Next slide, please. Okay, Trishant is saying 5 years. Yeah, got it. Next slide. Okay, so question is, what do we mean by quality of life? So you all took a choice. You all said 5 years, 20 years, whichever is you thought has made good improvement. But what is generally your definition of quality of life? What does the phrase quality of life mean to you? Okay, ease in which we satisfy our basic needs. A good definition. Anybody else? I'm sure each of you have your own imagination. Very good. Opportunities to improve and to explore. Very true. Poverty alleviation. Lower stress, better connection with people and opportunities. Very true. Good food, less pollution, good medical facility, quality education, peace of life and mind. Very good. All good definitions. Can we click, please? Okay, so there is one way of life where people say what we need to measure is GDP, salary, how much marks we score as students, as compared to a set of other people who say that what we should focus on is the lived experience. The lived experience, how do we define? The lived experience that is defined as how is our health? How safe do we feel? What is the mobility options, or how do people move around? What's happening to the environment? How are we valuing our time? How connected are we with our relationships? And finally, do we have voice in what's happening around us, right? So these are some basic attributes. But how does India as a nation measure this? I mean, of course, in each of the definitions that you give, it's good for you. But as a nation, we need to have a single definition of it, right? So India's framework goes around frameworks such as the Ease of Living Index, where they try to capture the quality of life across many of the dimensions that many of you suggested: education, health, housing, mobility, safety, recreation, environment, and economic opportunities, right? All of these are essential for us to have a better quality of life. Next, please. Now, we have had our own definitions of quality of life. So keep this in your mind and keep having more and more concrete definitions of quality of life as we go forward. Next, please. So I'd like to introduce 3 lenses when we look at quality of life. One is at the lens of the individual. I mean, how are each one of us doing when it comes to your body, your mind, the relationships with people around you, the skills that you are having and you want to acquire, and also how much satisfied are you with the purpose of your life, right? So these are at the individual level. The second is the citizen level, right? I mean, what do you do as a citizen in a nation, in a state, and in a city, right? So what is your relationship with your neighborhood, with your city systems, your public service, the rights and the duties that we have, right? And finally, the third lens is being the consumer lens. You have power as a consumer as well in this country. You have your shopping choices. You have brands that influence you. You have brands that you can influence, right? This is also a lens that we should be quite aware of, and we'll touch each of them as we go forward. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's look at the individual, right? What are our inner foundations, right? So the first is the focus on health, both physical and mental, right? Physical is very visible, and hence people kind of get carried away by judging and seeing whether you're doing good or not, but just by the way you appear. But what's more difficult to find out is your mental health, right? So it's essential for us to focus on both the physical and mental health. It's about the sleep, the amount of sleep that you are having, the movement that you are able to do. Focus on food as the base of any quality of life journey, right? Are we getting the right nutrition? Are we getting unadulterated food? Are we getting food that is naturally grown, that does not leave traces of harmful chemicals in our body, right? There are many dimensions of this. The second being the importance of emotional well-being, right? Are you happy with what you are doing? Even if you're not, are you driven enough to kind of overcome those circumstances, right? Are you sharing a good relationship with what's happening around you, with the people around you, right? So all of these become important. And when things go wrong, do you have the right support networks to fall back on, right? This is the second layer that you should be very, very focused on, right? So one call to action, if any of you would like to kind of take a short exercise of what can I do over the next 30 days, next 3 months, next 1 year. So one call to action would be, can you track 3 things daily, right? How many hours do you sleep? How much movement are you able to get? And can you reconnect with a family, friend, or a mentor, right? I had the amazing opportunity of traveling to Chennai recently to meet a friend of mine, and I was able to spend a good amount of time with his mom. And she's of course aging now, but it was so amazing that she remembered my visit to their home in Bangalore many years ago on the occasion of Onam and what all happened that day, right? So can you kind of go back and connect to people who matter to you a lot more and spend time there, right? So that's one call to action. So in 30 days, can you kind of try and do this, right? Next. All right. So at an individual level, there is competition of for our time, for our attention, and also the overload of what's happening around us, right? So how time use and attention capture is getting captured by social media, by endless notifications coming all over us, right? And what does this lead to? Burnout, anxiety, and shallow engagement, right? And the second call to action that you can try and make note of is, can you choose one attention ritual for the next 4 weeks? Can you keep your phone away for 60 minutes where you focus on either deep work and no distraction? Alternatively, can you look at no screens for 30 minutes after waking or before sleeping, right? So try and do either of them and see if it helps you to kind of be at a better phase than you are presently. Next slide, please. There is a huge amount of growing research today that's happening about how a sense of purpose, autonomy, and feeling useful are very useful predictors of subjective well-being in people, right? So this is something for all of us to pay heed and try and figure out, if any of them are not enough in our life, then probably focusing on that could also help our well-being. So how could you get there, right? One could be through work, right? I mean, kind of changing the work that you do, maybe switching your job role, going to a different company. Or if you have time on your hands, then why don't you go and volunteer at organizations that are doing meaningful service, right? You could connect to people around you much better. The third is you could look at doing problem solving in your local area, right? There is traffic congestion and nobody is waiting for one another, and there's a continuous traffic jam in one of the circles. Can you try and go ease up the traffic at least 10-15 minutes a week? Not every day, but even if you can do 10-15 minutes a week, it is a huge relief for yourself as well as other people who are stuck in the traffic, right? And also look at each of these activities not for CV, but rather for you to discover your own sense of meaning, what makes you really happy without any monetary gains, right? And that could be something that you can do endlessly, effortlessly for as long as you want, with circumstances being in your favor. So a 3-month call to action now. And the 3-month call to action would be, can you try and set aside 10 hours to a cause or initiative that improves someone else's quality of life? Now we have figured out what is about our own quality of life. Can we try and put a lens on others' person's quality of life? It could be teaching. It could be local cleanup. It could be mentorship. It could be mentorship for people who don't have, guidance for many decisions that they want to take. There are many orphanages today, and many students who are in certain government schools who would benefit from a much more rounded perspective than what they're exposed to, right? And for those techies out in the call today, maybe engaging in some of the civic tech initiatives could also be a very useful volunteering effort, right? Next, please. Okay, let's kind of check a small video and then probably continue from there. So the language of the video, the location of the video are not necessarily a constraint. I'm sure you can relate to it from your own city, wherever you are joining us from.
ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ ದಿಢೀರ್ ಮಳೆಗೆ ಏನೇನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಸಣ್ಣ ತುಣುಕುಗಳು ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಬನ್ನಿ. ಮೊದ್ಲು ಬಲಿಯಾಗಿರೋದು ಒಣಗೋಗಿರೋ ಮರಗಳು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬಿಲ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ಗಳು, ಸೈನ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ಗಳು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹಸಿ ಮರಗಳು. ಇನ್ನ ನಮ್ ಜಾಲಹಳ್ಳಿಲಂತೂ ವಾಟರ್ ಫಾಲ್ಸ್ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ವಿಷ್ಣುವರ್ಧನ್ ಅವರ ಕೋಟಿಗೊಬ್ಬ ಮೂವಿ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಕಟ್ಔಟ್ ಬಿದ್ದು 5-6 ಲಕ್ಷ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗೋದಲ್ದೆ 2 ಕೆಳಗಿದ್ದ ಆಟೋಗಳು ಜಖಮ್ ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದಾವೆ. ಇನ್ನ ಮನೆ ಮೇಲೆ ವಾಟರ್ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಗಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ದೇ ಇರೋರ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ವಾಟರ್ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಗಳು ಸೀದಾ ಹಾರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಕೆಳಗ್ ಬಿದ್ದಿದಾವೆ. ಇನ್ನ ನಮ್ BMTC ಬಸ್ ಒಳಗೆ ವಾಟರ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಹಂಗೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ MG ರೋಡ್ ಚರ್ಚ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಂತೂ ಆಲಿಕಲ್ಲ ನೊರೆಗಳ ಒಂದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ದಲೆ ಜನ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾಯಂಡಹಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂಡರ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರ್ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಕೆರೆನೆ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ ಇರೋ ಡ್ರೈನೇಜ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಚೆ ಕಡೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ದೇ ಇರೋ ಡ್ರೈನೇಜ್ಗೆ ಒಂದ್ ಇನೋವಾ ಕಾರ್ ಕೂಡ ಬಲಿ ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಏನು ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಂಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ ಮಲ್ಲೇಶ್ವರಂ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದ ಬೃಹತ್ ಆಕಾರದ ಹಸಿ ಮರಗಳೇ ದುಬಾ ಅಂತ ಬಿದೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರೋದು. 2 ಆಟೋನು ಫ್ಲಾಟ್ ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರೋದು. ಈ ಮಳೆಯಿಂದ ಆಟೋದವ್ರಿಗಂತೂ ತುಂಬಾನೇ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ನನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ. ಇನ್ನ ಬಸವನಗುಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ಕಾರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿದ್ದಿದೆ ಸೀದಾ ಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗು. ಶಿವಾಜಿನಗರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೌರಿಂಗ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೋಡೆ ಬಿದ್ದು 7 ಜನ ತೀರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದಂತೂ ದುರಂತಾನೆ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಇನ್ನ ಚಿಕ್ಕಪೇಟೆ ವಿಚಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಫುಲ್ಲು ನೀರು ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಹೋಗಕ್ಕಾಗದೆ ಸಿಗಾಕೊಂಡು ಬೋಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಅಕ್ವಾ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೆ ಸೈಡ್ ಹೊಡಿಯೋ ರೇಂಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ನೀವು. ಇವನಷ್ಟು ಖುಷಿ ಪಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಈ ಮಳೆಗೆ ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಖುಷಿ ಪಟ್ಟಿರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ. ಒಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ 2 ದಿನ ಜನಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹುಷಾರಾಗಿ ಓಡಾಡಿ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಇನ್ನ ನಮ್ ರಾಜಾಜಿನಗರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಗುರು. ಮರ ಬಿದ್ದು ಆಟೋಗಳು ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಏನು ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಟೋದವ್ರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇನ್ನೂ ಹುಷಾರಾಗಿ ಓಡಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
Alright, so for those who don't understand Kannada, pardon me for it, but then it was a very telling recall of what happened a couple of days ago when there was heavy rain in Bangalore. We had the highest amount of rain in the month of April ever in recorded history of Bangalore. And you saw how our public systems kind of crumbled, and the amount of death and destruction it caused, because as I speak, close to 10 people have lost their lives or struggling for their life in Bangalore, right? So the question for all of us is saying that solutions for many of these are reasonably well known. The question is, why is it that we struggle to implement? Any thoughts before we go forward? Very true, Mr. Prasad. Very true, Mr. Basant. We should definitely look at our relationship with Jiva Jala when it's raining and not really see it as a problem as many people will pass it off as. All right, let's go to the next slide. So here is my favorite part, right? I mean, how can we go from a me lens to a we lens, right? And why the citizen lens will matter. So each one of our quality of life also depends on air, water, public transport, safety, and justice systems, which do not come under an individual control. Right? Second is there are limits to privatization. A whole lot of gyan we give for our children or for ourselves is that, once they become rich, then life will be hunky-dory. But is life going to be hunky-dory? We know the challenges of the limits of privatization, and that's something for all of us to be aware of. Even a high income cannot fully insulate you from falling urban systems. And the question is, which public service failure affects your daily life the most? Is it water? Is it waste? Is it mobility, transport? Or is it safe? Or is it safety or something else? Which one factor is very important for you as far as the public services are considered? Thank you, Vidyavarshini. That's true. We need all of them, right? We can't just say that one or two of them are better, but we have challenges across all of them, and there is a lot of work to be done there. Thank you, Anupama. Let's go next. All right. So now we spoke about how India measures the quality of life. And this is from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. There is a scale that's given to culture and weightage of about 25%, stability 25%, health 20%, infrastructure 20%, and education is 10% weightage, right? So the 10 best cities to live in India as far as for the year 2025 is concerned, it begins with Bangalore, Pune, Ahmedabad, Chennai, Surat, Navi Mumbai, Coimbatore, Vadodara, Indore, right? So a whole lot of cities are probably still a good place to live, no matter what challenges they are grappling with. Okay, so have this thought while we go forward. Next. So what's your everyday city experience, right? I mean, how many of you live in the rural side? Any of you who stay away from the city most of your life? So most of us have chosen to live the urban life. So Vidyavarshini is at Thuraiyur, Tamil Nadu. Okay, Hanumant is in semi-urban area, brought up in rural area. Yes, Trishan, some of us are born into the city life. We can't undo it easily. Excellent, right? So what are the typical pain points being in the city? I've tried to guess a few. I'm sure there could be more than these, right? One is the long commutes, the unreliable public transport, air and noise pollution, water supply is not predictable always, And some public spaces may not be well maintained. Right? And this is something that's a issue close to my heart, and we can spend hours looking at how public places should be administered better, right? Next, what is the result of this? How these reduce time for the time we want to spend with family, take rest, focus on learning, and also join a more active civic life. And finally, a short reflection. How many hours did you spend last week commuting or waiting in queues? Any rough estimate in the last 1 week? How many hours you spent either commuting or waiting in queues? And the one gets the benefit of living in a semi-urban area where he needs to spend only 3 to 5 hours. Vidyavashay spends about 15 hours a week, which is significant, right? Yeah, so challenges in Hyderabad, bad civic sense, poor enforcement, air, water, sound, pollution, and traffic violation. Right? So this is a challenge where a significant part of India is moving into, and still we don't have our act together. Next slide, please. Okay. So it's essential for all of us to develop a sense of governance and delivery, right? Behind each service are budgets, institutions, processes, and quality of life is a governance outcome as much as an engineering one. It's not just about getting the right engineering, but also you should get the right governance in all of these institutions. The citizen-centric digital services and accountable municipal functions can reduce the service friction. Today, many service delivery programs are plagued with time delays, cost overruns, and also harassment for the beneficiaries. There are many initiatives around the world today where you can look at citizen report cards and committees that can overlook and say what's happening in cities like Mangalore, Hubli, Dharwad, etc., where they are not in the mainstream, but still they want to get as good services as in the cities. Right? Next, please. And I come to an important development that citizenship is a skill. Not everybody have the skill. They need to kind of inculcate it and grow it. And once you grow it, you become a far more effective person in getting things done. So citizenship is not only about voting, or as some would claim, not even just about paying taxes. It includes a whole lot of awareness, organization, and constructive engagement with public institutions. Our public institutions need a lot more engagement than we do in this country. So what is the evidence? The evidence has shown that citizen engagement initiatives lead to improved public services. They include to social inclusion and also trust in institutions when done systematically. Right? So here's another call to action. For the next 12 months, I would request each of you to at least attend 2 public forums. It could be a ward committee meeting. It could be a government consultation. It could be citizen hearings, and document what you can learn. Vasant, your true ward committees are often manipulated, but at the same time, you should try and go and assert your voice and try and speak up for what's essential for the ward to do. Very true, Vidyavashini. I think this is an effort in that direction of whom to meet, what to ask, and how many days should we get the formal response from the public institution. All of these are essential knowledge skills that we need to improve. Right. All right. Next slide, please. Okay, one more video. I hope you like the last one, and I hope you like this one too.
The town removes all political banners in 24 hours. CCTVs across the town. Cleaning starts as early as 2 a.m. Share this reel and tell everyone. While our cities fill up with posters during elections, Kerala's Sultan Batheri removes them in just 24 hours. Yup, one day. That's it. Why? Because this is one of Kerala's cleanest towns, and people here take that very seriously. Spitting, littering, urinating on streets, banned. You can literally be fined from 500 rupees to 25,000 rupees. But this did not happen overnight. Once an ammunition depot under Tipu Sultan, Sultan Batheri has completely transformed under one man, C.K. Sahadevan, the former chairman of the municipal council. Drains clogged for 30 years, cleared. Midnight garbage dumping, caught and fined. Plastic, banned. And the real game changer? Everyone got involved. Shopkeepers, auto drivers, locals. This isn't just a rule, it's a mindset. Even hotels promote cloth bags, paper bags and glass bottles over plastic. The sanitation warriors Harit Karm Sena work on the ground daily, calling out littering and keeping streets spotless. There's even a visitor's book in public washrooms for feedback. And the streets are lined with over 900 blooming pots, adding charm to this already picturesque town. Clean, green, disciplined. All because citizens refuse to live in garbage. So why can't our cities be like this? Comment below.
So this is a place that I've visited very often. For almost 10 years, I've visited time and again. And I've seen this place become better, much better than the other cities that we always put the limelight on. And I think it's essential for all of us to kind of figure out how do we come together and make sure that our cities are more livable, offer us better quality of life and better engagement, right? So as the guest is saying, it's essential that it's a mindset change rather than just about saying I brought in a new rule, right? All right, next slide, please. All right, so what's happening around us, right? The big challenge around us is the story of jobs, the story of growth, and what is called as just transition, right? There is a whole lot of fear surrounding us, telling that if we push too hard on the environment, then what will happen to the jobs? The second is the acknowledged need of just transitions, where a planned fair shift to a greener economy that supports workers through reskilling, social protection, and regional development, instead of sacrificing livelihood, can be celebrated and supported. And hence, quality of life is all about a stable, dignified work, plus clean environment and resilient communities. If you can ensure these four things, then possibly our quality of life can get much better. Next, please. All right. So now let's look at saying that, okay, what can individuals do, right? And this is about an amazing person whom I had the chance to meet about a decade ago, Mr. Venkat Subbarao. Right? Mr. Venkat Subbarao retired, and he was looking forward to a retired life after having worked for many years at Reserve Bank of India. Then one fine morning, he realized that, okay, there is a lake right in front of my house, but it is being dumped. Right? I mean, every ere would come and dump something onto the lake and go away. And there was nothing that he could do, right? So he did a whole lot of effort to kind of sensitize people, try and make sure they don't litter, but he was not successful. Next slide, please. So it was all a quiet neighborhood, but unfortunately, something sinister was cooking in that place. Over 2 decades ago, this place had a lake called Bhairasandra Lake in Jayanagar, Bangalore. And whatever had happened, and they had kind of come to auction the lake. And this person who was looking forward to retired life looked around and said, hey, you know what, lake is not a private property. How could it be auctioned? So he took 2 decades of legal battle to solve this case. And not just that, he also kind of brought in a whole lot of display of courage and conviction when he stood up to the inimical forces and challenged them to reclaim that lake. Next slide, please. So time and again, he had to go to the court to seek relief. He would write very long, impressive letters to the governor and say that, hey, you know what, this is a challenge and that needs to be looked into. And that's something that he dedicatedly gave his life and time to. It did not come easy. He had to spend over 2 decades and over 2 lakhs of rupees of his own money to kind of get the lake be left alone. Right. Next slide, please. And just to remind you that not just our constitution guarantees us fundamental rights, it also gives us fundamental duties. And while the government may not be doing all of it well, it doesn't hurt us to kind of join forces and try and improve the services that are being done. Right. So constitution places these duties on us, and there are 11 of them, and I would leave it for a minute or so before we go forward. You can eyeball them. There's emphasis on developing scientific temper. There is a ask to protect the environment, preserve energy, and maintain harmony. Next slide, please. So what do we do, right? I mean, we have understood that where we stand, whether fundamental rights, duties, there are challenges around us, and we would like our quality of life to improve. So how do we go about this, right? So there is a suggestion of exploring a public project. Whatever field you are in, it could be engineering, design, management, policy, tech development. Your work, one slide back, please. Yeah. Your work can influence somebody else's access to service, safety, or opportunity. So you can also frame your career choices around this question: whose quality of life improves because of what I do? If you can be clear of this, then your own journey becomes smoother. Again, one more call to action here. Can you, over the next 6 months, map 3 ways your current or future work can measurably improve quality of life for others, right? Unless we put them into a measurement framework, measuring becomes difficult, right? So can you, over the next 6 months, pick up 3 projects where you can enhance quality of life for somebody else? Next. Next, please. All right. So now we'll come to designing your own personal quality of life dashboard. The Government of India's Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation's definition need not be your definition. I would request that each of you kind of spend some time and create a dashboard with 5 to 6 indicators that covers health, relationship, learning, finances, contribution, and environment and civic engagement, right? So you can pick and choose whatever works for you and try and create a dashboard of saying, are you doing this well enough? And are you progressing in the direction you want to progress? Okay. And in about 6 months, in about 3 months' time, would you be able to create your own dashboard, review it every 3 months, and set it up for the next year, right? Next. So while this is at an individual level, what can be done at the city, neighborhood level? What can you look at? Water reliability, air quality, mobility. There are many choices for you to look around and see what could that project be. It'll be great if you can track 1 to 2 indicators using open data or simple community service. That at least will tell people to think about how people are perceiving things happening around. So over the next year, choose 1 local public issue, gather basic data beyond what's said in WhatsApp, get on the photos, get on the counts, try and do simple surveys. And that way, when you showcase this, then a lot more people will be able to come and engage with you, right? Next slide, please. Glad to see the guest is motivated to explore this forward. So here's how a quick 1-year action plan could look like. You could jot down 1 habit to improve health or emotional well-being, 1 habit to protect time and attention, and finally 1 habit of contribution could be mentoring, volunteering, or support. Right? You could reach out to me again in a year's time, and then I'll be very happy to hear how your year went by and what you were able to accomplish. Next slide, please. So the issues I spoke about, what you could do in the next 1 year. So focus on what you would like to do where, and this should enable us to create a 90-day action, concrete plan. Okay. Next, please. Next slide. All right. So this is something that happened in the greatest rainfall in the month of May that happened a couple of days ago. Here is a popular bookstore called Bookworm, and just 1 second, previous slide, please. So Bookworm's shop got deluded, and 5,000 books worth 14 lakhs was destroyed because rainwater came gushing into the iconic book place. Right. So Pratisha, can you try and play the video? Right. So just imagine if this were to happen to your neighborhood shop, what would happen? What would be a scene on that street for the next day or so? What all would have happened? A regular bookstore, but people love it. And what do they end doing when they realize their bookstore is in trouble? So they all come lend in hand and try and fix the bookstore and make sure that the losses are minimized and the books are returned to perfect condition, right? So here is a good, interesting thing, the lens number 3, which we spoke about, you being powerful as a consumer as well as you, the consumers, being able to relate to the brand well, where consumers will come and stand with the brand in time of crisis. Next slide, please. Very true, Vidyavardhini Garu. It's a true spirit of the human being, right? So that comes to the close of my talk. And what am I talking? What did we try and achieve today is to try and get a better understanding of how do you move from an aspiration to practice, right? We all want India to be the best country, and if that's the case, we all know a set of practices that are very, very helpful in countries away from us, and some of them will be relevant here too. So how do you convert those aspirations into practice? One is reiterating the fact that quality of life is co-produced by our relative choices and by institutions and systems we help shape. So that's something that you should always remember. Second is see yourself not as a consumer of a city or spectator of democracy, but as co-authors of a better India, right? If you look at spending a good amount of time trying to imagine a better future, you will have an opportunity to collate and work with some of the brilliant minds and support their efforts, right? And the final call to action, before you sleep, write down one sentence describing the quality of life you want for yourself and for your city by 2030. And it's also important that you look at that one step you will take this week towards this goal, right? Next slide, please. All right, thank you very much for your patient hearing. Over to you, Trishant, to kind of curate the question and answers, and look forward to doing my best of helping you understand this thinking process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the presentation and the videos, and thank you for the optimistic relation you brought into the session. Before we move on to the Q&A, I'd like to take 30 seconds of everyone's time for a quick poll. This will help us get to know you better and tailor future topics that we bring to you. A big thanks to everyone here today. Your presence and participation means a lot. While you fill out the poll, I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks again to our esteemed speaker, Professor Sridhar Papisatti, for sharing his valuable time and insights with us. I also, yes, Pratyusha, could you kindly put up the poll, please? While to answer the poll, you can also choose to write down your questions in the chat box so that we can bring it up one by one. Requesting everyone to interact with the poll questions within the next 30 seconds. The poll will pop up on your screen right now. Also requesting all the participants, if you'd like to directly interact with the speaker, kindly use the raise hand tool by pressing the react button on your Zoom interface. Once you do that, I'll be able to unmute you and bring up your question. Sorry, I'm going to first unmute Mr. Vasan Sharma, requesting sir to kindly take less than 2 minutes to ask your question.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Just a moment. I'm just going to
Please go ahead.
Sridhar sir.
Yes, sir.
Sridhar sir, it was very nice. And this is exactly what India needs to do. Be the change you want to see. There's no meaning
True,
in
sir.
simply going on pointing fingers at each other. We have our duties, responsibilities, rights. Right is we all exercise. Duties we seldom do. For example, duty. It's our duty not to litter the city. And the responsibility is, if there is a litter, remove it and put it in a box. That's the kind of attitude we must have, we must develop. And in one of your slides, you mentioned about governance and delivery. That I would like to point my finger at the government, which is doing half-hearted job. And they always make it a point to bring top-down programs, which we don't like people. They must ask exactly what is required by me. It should be from bottom to top. For example, you mentioned about ward committees. Ward committees do not exist, and they are manipulated, and they are actually being misused by certain set of people to have contracts and other things, and only some are really interested in working towards and there are areas of us also. All those things are only on paper. This is the kind of double standard that the governance is being delivered to us. And take, for example, as an anti-tobacco activist, I would like to help people to give up smoking and lead a good life. But there is something called National Tobacco Control Program, and World Health Organization also has done something about it. And India is a signatory for that FCTC. And it says you must ban tobacco and help the authorities concerned to adopt, particularly farmers, they must adopt alternate crops. But government is not doing anything for in that respect. That's Article 17. And 18 says you take care of the environment because of the damage that's being done by tobacco and health of the people. These are some of the things which are not being adopted properly. There is no meaning in simply giving a chocolate to a child and saying that you should not eat. Why are you making it available? Why can't you just reduce the growth of a commercial crop? FSSA has certified that it is poisonous. Nicotine is poisonous. And all the tobacco companies are bringing out chocolates. All these things, vaping, julling, all these things are happening. New to products so attract youngsters. They are becoming slaves of voices. This is the kind of a double standard. That's why there should be proper governance. For example, bad roads. If I don't wear a helmet, you find me. If I don't have a license, you find me. And why are you not finding the government for bad roads? Am I entitled to it? Can I charge government with culpable homicide not amounting to murder by supplying tobacco products to people, knowing fully well that it gives you every 8 seconds a person is dying due to NCDs. So this is my question: why we should not ask government to behave itself properly? There is no meaning in simply saying you have got constitutional rights, but you must also literally give it to us. Give good governance and then talk. If we do something wrong, you punish us. But when you yourself is a bad governance government, then whom should I go and ask for? Please, sorry, thank you for your observations on these. Please.
Thank you so much, sir. I completely agree that it has to be a symbiotic and a partnership-based relations where the government comes forward and does quite a few things better as per the mandate given to it already, and then the citizens also coming hand in step to step and also matching and taking this forward. It can't happen without one another. I think coming together is very important, and I do hope that Bengaluru has been without a mayor and also without a elected corporators for quite some time now, and we do hope to look forward the 74th Amendment blooming again in Bengaluru. And I hope that leaders of tomorrow will kind of pay the right heed to the citizens' participation through ward committees, the area sabhas, and bring in meaningful discussions before final decisions are taken. And I hope things get better than where we are today. Thank you for your observations.
Thank you, sir. This is a helpless answer.
Well, sir, I think there's a far more positive way of looking at it, right? I mean, when a huge groundswell happens from the bottom, right? There are 60,000 governments in India, right? If you put together all the municipal corporations, the gram panchayats, and each of them, right? So there are 60,000 powerful institutions that can take charge of the country and move forward. I think it's for us important to kind of make sure that we put the limelight on them, encourage more and more people to take politics for the right reason, get more and more people to get into the administration for the right reason. I think these are all things that are long term, and I think maybe we should look at that on another day. But I think solutions are available when collective wisdom changes, right? When people come together and say that the shift has to happen.
That's true, sir. But why should I give tax to when I don't get service?
True, sir.
Thank you.
I guess you should get refund on tax for under delivery.
Bad delivery.
Bad delivery.
Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Requesting Mr. Shmuel to kindly unmute yourself.
Thank you. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very interesting presentation, and I have question. What, according to your opinion, need to do for resolution problems of poverty and social inequality in the cities? How, according to your opinion, authorities can to support in resolution problems of poverty and inequality in the cities?
Sure, sir. I think, thank you, Shmuel, for the question. I
Thank you.
think a whole lot of emphasis has to be played on three big pillars. The first pillar should be of access to food. The right to food should be there for everyone, especially children, and it should be accessible. It should be a functional right, a usable right, and that's the starting point. The second is access to good quality education. While some children may continue to get 18, 20, at least 12 to 16 years of education, that's the desire, but many people may not go beyond 10 years of education, right? So how can you ensure that you keep children longer in the school? How do they learn enough skills as well as life skills while they are at school? So improving the quality of education, that becomes very important. And we at 1 Billion Lives Foundation have partnered with the Anikal administration to improve the quality of education in the government schools. We support 110 schools today where we are able to give supplemental teachers where teachers are not sufficient in the government school, right? So I think those kind of supplemental partnerships, if we can enable and work on education, nutrition, food, as well as healthcare, making healthcare accessible, and finally skills and employment, opportunities being increased. I think these four things can make a huge generational lift, where your ability to reach further is not taken aback because of where you were born or to whom you were born, right? So I think that opportunities being equally accessible by all can come through better focus on nutrition, education, and everything else, right? I hope I've been able to answer your question, Shmuel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shmuel, sir, for joining us. I'd like to now, before I unmute Anupama ma'am, I'd like to just quickly mention the future talks before closing the session officially, and then we can move on to the rest of the questions. We have Ms. Swati Badekar, famous to call this Woman, Executive Director at the Vatsalya Foundation, talking on Beyond Pads, the Untold Story of Menstrual Health and Dignity. This is on 9th May 2026. Kindly register and share with ones who will find it helpful. Transgender Rights in India 2026, Protecting Dignity and Ensuring Equality. This is regarding the bill that was recently passed. The speaker is Rachana Madhuboyana, trans activist. It's on 16th May 2026, 11 a.m. onwards. We have Manisha Dayanan, founder and lead consultant at Srishti, talking on From Thoughts to Results, the science behind manifestation. This is on 30th May 2026, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Kindly share with ones who will find it helpful. Now moving on, back to the Q&A. I'd like to unmute Anupama ma'am. Kindly unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Thank you for such an enlightening talk. It gives, it brings things into focus for me, as a citizen. Sir, I only have one big problem. I stay in Mumbai, and we don't know who is taking these decisions of building the roads. We don't know who is taking these decisions of cutting down the trees. We don't know who gave them the right to cut the wetlands, who have given them the right to sort of put protected area into open again. All around me, I have high rises coming up. And if my building doesn't go into a high rise, then I don't get air, I don't get light, I can't move because all the roads are dug up. And there is no accountability. There is not even a placard which says that if you have any complaint, please inform us on this part, which is the basic thing, which is a basic right of a citizen to know. Where do I go to complain, or forget about the complaint? If I have any questions, where do I go to question them? That is my main question. Secondly, you dig up a road, you have a parallel road from which you travel. In 2 days' time, they dig up the parallel road also. So you are actually caught up, and this wastes the time, wastes the quality of your life, and the air is not worth breathing in. So my question here is that where is the accountability? First of all, who gives them the right to decide how our environment is going to go about without consulting us? Who allows them to cut trees? What's happened in Bangalore is terrible. I mean, who gave them this right to do it? And now they are cutting down coastal wetlands, and Mumbai is protected by them. We are going to have tsunamis if we, cut down the wetlands. Even with such a thing happening, they are going ahead because the people in power are not the local people. Okay, whatever it is, people coming from outside the state to govern the state. So I feel we need to have certain basic things, like if somebody is standing for governance in a particular city, they have to be from that city. You cannot have outsider coming in because they will not have the well-being of that city at heart. First thing. Secondly, there has to be a telephone number or a person whom you can go and contact, and accessibility to them is necessary. And thirdly, when you go in for development at the cost of cutting in trees, when you have so much mayhem going around in India, is something not acceptable, sir. I don't know where to go to. I have brought up topics, I've gone to BMC, and you just don't get any entry anywhere. They say go online. When you go online, nobody responds. So me as a citizen have got no way to complain or question. Hands and feet are tied up, and you just have to, you can have to just survive a day and go on to the next work. And this is the state of most of the people. So I really think there need to be some strong laws for the governance of a place. Some accountability should be held up.
The need is very much real, Anupama. Thanks for bringing that up, and I hope we as a nation will deliver better on that. Having said that, I think a whole lot of action comes to something that I had a chance to discuss with a professor at Harvard. So I had a chance to meet a particular professor whose work is at community mobilization. And his only question to me was saying that, why does politics manage to throw away good people wanting to come into it? Right? And he said, Sridhar, the solution lies in the leader keeping the community together and growing it. Right? So that's when collective action becomes important. It starts with one, but the moment those ideas, what you stand for, gets reinforced, then people, even incumbent politicians, will have to try and engage with you. Right? So the deck is stacked against us. The law exists, but the way it's implemented will be almost against us. So how do you make sure that this balance is brought back in? And that's the continuous engagement through the governance process, educating ourselves of what are the mandates of transparency, what are the mandates of decentralization of power, right? How do you fix accountability on wrong decisions being taken, right? And how do you make sure that the citizen participation becomes almost institutionalized, right? So how can we educate ourselves and say that, you know what, if that is a public office, then I should be able to go and access, I should be able to do A, B, C, D, I should be able to get services X, Y, Z. And why are we made to still run around these government offices without kind of real solution in place, right? So it takes a systemic push for us, and I hope that we will keep amplifying this need for better governance and make sure that it becomes a priority of a lot more people.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
Just a quick question, quick response on the trees being cut, on environmental norms being flaunted. I think time and again we should come collectively and confront the government and put them to notice and say that, you know what, this is not in accordance with the constitutional norms. And time and again, if you put concrete evidence, then the government backs off. We had a case of how the solution for traffic jam in Bangalore was found to be only 7 kilometers, and they wanted to build a steel flyover. We had to go back and tell them that that single flyover will not change anything. You don't have to spend 2,500 crores building a useless flyover, right? And then they came back and said, what do you mean by this? Then we had to give them a separate plan where we suggested that, you know, emphasize on public transport. Make sure that there is multimodal integration of transport facility. All of these are some things that we have to build as safeguards.
Hope so, sir, before something happens to Mumbai. That's my biggest fear. So I hope they all, stop this cutting and building of concrete, because it's an island finally at the end of it. Like Bangalore was supposed to be a land of lakes, and where are the lakes now?
Lakes.
Drainage, this water system has happened because the lakes have disappeared. So Mumbai is also a land of islands, and how much can you overburden those islands? We are finally on water. We are not on stable land at all. So I don't know. I think education for governing people is very important. Whom we elect, what is the degree,
Absolutely.
whether the academician, the people are involved in the whole process is very important for us to survive. Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Sir, I'd like to ask, are there any laws that prohibit a person from stepping into the election body or any part of politics due to, say, a lot of pending criminal cases and or lack of education, basically?
No, lack of education can't be made a norm in a democracy, right? A democracy should reflect the reality of the nation in which we are all citizens of. And I think we can't put an artificial barrier of educational qualifications. Having said that, people with conviction, who are convicted for any crime or any of the excesses.
The conviction could take 40 years, but what about people who actually committed something and cases have been going on against them for like 30 years, 40 years or whatever till the time they actually die? Because at the moment, I've seen people like Babu Bajarangi from Bajrang Dal getting out on bail. I've seen Asaram Bapu getting out on bail. I've seen Ram Rahim getting out on bail. I've seen all sorts of con men getting out of bail, while proper scientists, educationists, say example like Sonam Wangchuk, going and staying in jail for like months together. So how is it that we're going to fight this particular tweak in the government system, which is corruption primarily?
Trishant, I would like to say something about it. See,
so I'd like to first please
right now,
allow
45% of...
Please, sir. Sir, kindly allow the speaker to speak.
I'm continuing with the same. No, you are talking about criminals. I'm giving you some.
So
I'd like to request the speaker to speak first, please, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I guess the judiciary also has to take a serious look at saying, is it being seen as a responsible organ of the state, right? I mean, of our constitution. It's supposed to uphold the constitutional values, and sometimes episodes like this should force even the judiciary to kind of say, okay, are we doing the right thing? If money is being burnt inside a sitting judge's home or garage, then there are some serious questions to be taken a look at, right? And that's where India also had brought in an amendment, which is the National Judicial Accountability Act, and unfortunately, it could not go through. So, judiciary, after having given itself a lifeline, it should question itself and say, "Do I deserve that lifeline?" Right?
Right.
And I think a bureaucrat is put to test, a politician is put to test, but can our judiciary escape scrutiny and say that we will self scrutinize ourselves? Is that enough in the present day democracy? Right. So I think that debate has to go on, and our
So
judiciary
adding
has
to
to
the
be far
judiciary
more.
part, there's adding to the judiciary part, the the guy who did the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi has been has now been an advocate, and he's been posted in Puducherry and I mean that area, Vilupuram, Puducherry, part of close to Tamil Nadu, where BJP doesn't have a stronghold at all. Kiran Bedi, yes, was there as the governor for a couple of years, and while that was being there, it sort of breached into certain parts like Auroville, which is actually in Tamil Nadu, which is DMK ruled state. Again, BJP member becoming Auroville Council Secretary without any due democratic processes or anything like that. And then undoing work of, say, lakhs of volunteers who have planted critically endangered species like rosewood, red cedar, mahogany, ebony over a period of 25, 30 years, being undone within a period of 1.5, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And that actually questions what NGT is doing, what Ministry of Forest is doing, because all of them put stay orders. They filed for stay orders. Then again, being government bodies, the government still went on with the projects. It still went on with the deforestation because it's them fighting against them. And basically, how can we question this accountability? Because it's repeated in almost every state before it reached Tamil Nadu. It started from Gujarat. That is one thing I can tell you. I'm living here. And that model started here, getting stay orders and then still going on with the work. So, how do we confront all these things as a regular citizen? Because some people at this point, I feel that we are not allowed to protest for the right reasons, but we can protest if we want to remove the ban on helmets. We want to remove the ban on plastic, single-use plastic. We can protest for that. If you're part of a BJP Mochandal, that's fine. If you're party-centric doing protest, that's fine. But as a regular citizen, if you go to uh, fight against the concretization of your river bodies or deforestation happening in your cities or massive dump sites happening in your landfill sites happening in your cities, you're instantly intimidated by even the government bodies, like not just leaders, but say police institutions and stuff like that. So where do you put your faith in? How much money would one have to pour down lawyers this thing to fight a case, or how many years would sir said? As you also gave an example of a sir saving a lake. So how can one common man try and save the country? How many years of litigation is it going to take when it comes to environment and corruption and all of these things? Because I
I guess
really
the
like
science,
to be.
yeah, I guess the science is pretty clear on this, right? I think the moment we hit about 60 degrees or more, I think human life is not going to be, surviving that
Livable.
kind of a hot temperature, right? I think for all of us is to reflect and see, can we express our climate anxiety? Can we give the language for our climate change that is going to affect us extremely, and make our decision makers aware of the perils of what they're doing? It can't be just a thinking like, oh, it's only one tree in the name of development. Well, I mean, if you want to take down a tree through the due process and make sure that you ameliorate with the right balance, right? So it's essential for us to make these institutions like the National Green Tribunal, the Minister of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, to hold up that banner of sustainability, right? I mean, we need to kind of think of not making it so suffering for us, right? When you did mention about the effects of tree cutting on cities. It's unfortunate today that the heat waves are spanning across.
Something?
So, I've lost your connection there. Just a moment. Pratyusha, is it working on your end or is it just me?
No, I think we lost the connection. That's
Trishad, adding to your question,
Right.
according to the ADR report, 45% of MPs sitting in parliament are having criminal charges in
Right.
some way or the in some form or the other. The question is,
Right.
do we have to be ruled by such criminals? Second thing is, I retired from the Control and Auditor General Office as an officer. I was involved in many audit reports. And if you just take them seriously, and if you consider all of them in the Public Accounts Committee seriously, nearly 45 to 50% of people involved in those reports, they were meticulously prepared by us and with proof. With all that, they are simply going away scot-free. Nearly 45 to 50% of people should be dismissed summarily, even without giving them the pension. That is the kind of report we have. But where are the reports? Why they are not coming to the fore? This is what I wanted to ask Mr. Sridhar. Anyway,
Right, right.
you
Sir,
can
all the
also
reports
You
are
can join
given,
us.
all are thing, but nobody
it's okay.
listens to
You
them.
can also
Nobody listens.
answer, no problem.
Right.
Especially Mumbai, I've been seeing it so close for the past 1 and 2 years. They are cutting down trees everywhere. We are not able to step out during the day. It's so bad.
Ma'am, real estate property is at the fore. That's the name of the game the politicians and governments are playing. We are only pawns in their hands. It's unfortunate that our talks are not taken seriously. 90% of a tree is water. And they don't know the value of they also have children, grandchildren. They need air, they need good soil. With all that, they are simply cutting in the name of making some money out of it. Even continuing with that tobacco, 1 kg of, to cure 1 kg of tobacco, we require 8 kg of dry wood. Imagine 100 million kgs are permitted in Karnataka. Now into 8, just imagine how many trees have to be cut. Even for packing the cigarettes also, you need wood for packing also. Such is the kind of uncontrolled control these people are having. I'm really sorry to say that my India is going to, I don't have to use certain words. Anyway, I hope people will understand and they will rise. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, I got disconnected, Trishant.
Not a problem.
Yeah. I was just saying that, I think it's essential for all of us to figure out and say that what is our collective will? Is there a collective will to be continuously blindsided by the city administration, the state administration, and anybody else who's in power to kind of not acknowledge the climate catastrophe that we are staring at, right? And can we continue the profligacy of overseeing the blue layer and the green layer of our nation, right? And I'm glad to say I took exploratory work on the blue and green layer of Bengaluru and tried to put together as a book chapter that's going to come up in the upcoming edition of Routledge. And in that, the beauty of this journey of writing this has been about going back and studying the origin of why lakes and trees have become so quintessential to the Bangalorean identity. And if in each and every place we go back and look at how generations much before us have played importance to both the green layer and the blue layer, which is the trees and the water bodies, if we can just make it revive the importance of it and how much of a struggle it has been to make our nation such a green paradise. It will probably be rub off better to our younger generation, and hopefully they'll do a better job at protecting the country and its resources.
Thanks, sir. Thank you so much. So, a question from Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan. At
Yes,
present, the whole
please.
process of development At present, the whole process of development is problem solving, which affects the quality of life of the people, more particularly in cities. Instead, the people at governance and policy making level can see the problems or irregularities can be minimized while developing the DPR itself.
Very, very valid ask, and I think it's important that we pay enough attention to rural well-being, rural livelihoods, rural access to opportunities, and our overemphasis on urbanization is going to have catastrophic effect. Today, it's devastating to see village after village where the whole young population has moved to the cities and no longer getting back into the world of farming. So it's essential. Many decades ago, India made this commitment of provision of urban resources to rural communities, urban infrastructure to rural communities. Unfortunately, that hasn't taken off as well as expected. I do hope we pay good attention to our rural societies as well and make sure that they have a good chance of good quality of life, by which they don't have to necessarily think of going to the city as an unavoidable chance. It should be a choice for people in rural India to remain in rural India, people in urban India wanting to go back to rural India to consider and make more and more of those movements. And that churn hopefully can help us,
Hello, sir. We lost the connection there again. That's good. Hello, sir. Am I audible to you? Pratisha, could you please give sir pause control again on this phone? Sir, am I audible?
I can hear you, Trisha.
Right, sir. I'd like to now unmute Mr. Prasad Sirpaneni to ask the question. Yes, sir. Kindly ask the question, please. Sir, just a moment. You're still on mute. Just a moment. Yes, sir. Kindly ask the question, please.
Yeah, good afternoon once again to Sridhar Garu and all of you.
Good afternoon, sir.
So a very pertinent subject on governance. So I had put some comments in the chat box, and I can only echo the sentiments raised by Madam Anupama. And in fact, I had just put my thoughts on that. Whether it is indiscriminate falling of trees in Bangalore or Bombay and all. Right now, currently, we are having a big problem happening at KBR National Park in Hyderabad. I don't know if you're aware about that. There's a dharna going on, and all these people are protesting against it. They're planning to construct 7 flyovers and 7 underpasses around a declared national park in Hyderabad. It's the biggest and right in the heart of the city. So, in fact, 4 years back, it was stalled. It was known as the Strategic Road Development Plan. Now they give it a different name. There could be some difference in that. Ultimately, what they're asking, here, anyway, we cannot go into technicalities right now. But what is the common problem which is being echoed by any ordinary citizen like me or Anupamaji, or for that matter, the other gentleman who has really struggled at the age of 80 years in protecting the lake in Bangalore, all these things, if you look at it, lack of transparency and accountability. Even if the government, now today at KBR Park, we don't know whether there has been a proper due diligence done. One is a public hearing should have been held or not. We don't know that. We don't know whether detailed feasibility report has been done. We don't know whether an environmental impact assessment has been done. By now, when the agitation has been going on for 10 days, by now, somebody should have given a statement to the contrary saying, no, all these things have been done. No need for you to get worried. So we find there's a kind of a stalemate kind of thing. It is a very bad situation. So when Anupamaji has been raising a query regarding tree cutting, by now somebody from the government should have at least responded. There's no response. It's not a question of right or wrong. If you don't get response, what is happening? So here, what I would like to request you, because I am also a senior citizen, we're about 65 years old, having seen life, so many aspects. I'm a civil engineer with MBA. We have learned in our college days, engineering college days, about the proper road design. That's where I have taken a clue from that, and I have put in my. Sir, I think you're stuck. I think again. Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Please continue. Please continue. Please continue.
So for a second, I thought. All these things, with great relevance to regard to your beautiful talk, I was only kind of putting everything, my thoughts in one frame: engineering, education, and enforcement. Every issue, whether it is a problem in the traffic or bad road design or whatever it is, accidents happening, every kind of problem can be put under these three factors: bad engineering, bad education, bad enforcement. When you just to give an example of, because today I'm very much, it's heart wrenching. It is growing on me since today morning, a news item of today. It says there are 6 people have died in a road accident on the outer ring road. They had darshan at Yadagiri Gutta temple, and they, for no fault of theirs, their car has dashed against a parked lorry at an exit on the outer ring road. Now, the problem is, it's not, nobody has willfully caused the accident for sure. Neither the parked lorry driver says he has just stopped it to unfasten the ropes because he had to tie up the rice packs properly. So he obviously lost it. He didn't mean to cause any harm. But what was his mistake? He has parked the lorry at the wrong point, at the exit point. What is wrong with the driver? He must have been dozed off. We don't know. He has dashed against a parked lorry. So here, what I would like to request everybody, including you as a part of think tank, is this conventional method of giving driving license. I'm trying to give an example. What is it we can give? I'm just taking one example. I want to get into too many things. Simply giving the driving license, a test karo. I have understood the science. It is not sufficient. We have to ask these drivers, whether literate or uneducated, whatever they may be, we have to go a little beyond that. We have to stretch our imagination. We have to retailor and recustomize all these tests also. Whether they have really understood what would you do in a given situation. This kind of the testing has to be much more elaborate. We have to retune, reorient, and all these things. It's not enough. That's why I mentioned there in the chat box, we got to review and we have to rethink. We have to rework the whole our system itself, sir. And I agree. Only one more thing. Yes, I would like to just say only one. What is my request to you is, for example, in Hyderabad, we have got a center for good governance. It sounds beautiful. It's self-explanatory. When you say center for good governance. So you are expert in good governance. What I'm saying is, for all these kind of grave situations, why can't we all raise our voices together? You from Bangalore, people from Bombay, people from Hyderabad. There's again, you got an NGO called a Forum for Good Governance. There's a government body called the Center for Good Governance. All of you should come together periodically and raise your concern, raise your voices. Suppose stay has been obtained in a particular tree cutting case in Bangalore. Please bring it to, please help us. Come to Hyderabad. Let us connect online if possible and give ideas to us. Right now it's happening. It's happening at KBR Park. At Kanchakachamodi, I think Sri Trinaj, our gentleman, he is aware. That day we talked to he called me up and asked me. I was out there physically at Kanchakachamodi, University of Hyderabad, when and Supreme Court has intervened. Otherwise, you could just imagine, and otherwise you would have gone. Now that's over. Now they have started this episode here. Why should matters go to that level? It is not possible for citizens like Anupama or me to. I mean, much more has to be done, sir. There has to be a collective voice. All the think tanks have to come together, and then only the policies have to be revised. This is my request to you. Otherwise,
I agree.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you for. I was only
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Prasad. I think one solace that I found in the journey of understanding public policy over the last decade and a half has been about how committed are we to the world of good governance. I remember listening to a young Singaporean mid-level bureaucrat, and she mentioning that very candidly, that for us there is no difference between policy design, policy implementation. It's all one and the same. It's only in India that we come back and use the phrase which says, "Oh, the policies are great, but the implementation is bad," which means that you haven't really thought through your policy, right? So that's where it all stems, where we are not able to put our thoughts together and say, what is right, what is wrong, and what are the parameters of taking a decision, and then make it enforceable across the scale, across the hierarchy. And I think that's the challenge that India faces. And more cross-pollination, like how WishwaTalks have done today, where we can share this knowledge and wisdom of making things work, should be more robust. And I do hope that this intercity or across the nation coalition forms together and works on aligning the climate actions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So, thank you, Prasad, for joining us. So, I have a question. So, we've always sort of followed USA or some other country when it comes to, say, a lot of rule making, UK also. We've also, there's always a gap. Like, I mean, we have tier 2 cities, we have tier 1 cities, we have rural areas, we have tier 2 cities who have seen what condition it is in, say, cities like Bombay, Bangalore, whether it in regards to traffic, whether in regards to pollution, we look at Delhi. So we are seeing these models which are at the end of the day not really working out for urban people. Okay. I think we lost connection with sir again. Sir, I think.
Go ahead, Srishant. Go ahead. I rejoined back.
All right,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you. So we've seen
You said, yeah.
Like I feel many of the rural areas and even tier 2 cities are doing way better environmentally and road connection or transportation wise, but there is crazy amount of unrequired infrastructural developments, buildings that don't have people to live in, like expanding towards the outside. And this is happening in almost every tier 2 because they're straight up looking at the working models of tier 1s and trying to replicate it rather than learn from its mistakes and, devise a better plan, take a different route which protects the environment equally and caters to the population equally well. So, what kind of things can be done in our education to sort of cater to that? Stop following blindly, sort of a thing. Or you can just.
Yeah, I guess I can only go back and kind of emphasize on the process of um, the city management itself, right? I mean, the whole concept should be well structured on the carrying capacity of a region, and you should build from there rather than to say, oh, let's maximize the real estate output for a given city and then let people suffer a bad quality of life, right? And I think that's a tragedy that we are facing around us today, where there is scant respect given to the norms of the built environment, the norms of city planning. There was a fire in Noida a couple of days ago, and then it was found that the pressure was not good enough to douse the fire. I mean, it's not rocket science, right? I mean, you knew that you had a multi-story building. You knew that you had to get a certain pressure on the wall to kind of douse the fire, and then you did not even manage to check that, right? So the whole urban management has to be relooked at. The accountability have to be fixed better. There have to be more transparent tracking mechanisms of how infrastructure is being built and developed. And more importantly, the decision makers who are approving the urban plans have to look at the impact of those things coming on stream and affecting the rest of the people who are already resident there. So city after city, you will find example where a simple urban planning practice could have prevented it, but because somebody overlooked that, we end up having catastrophic effect for many decades after a decision has been made. And Bangalore has so many examples right here that we could talk about. And unfortunately, the legal system is not able to take in the right lessons and make changes into the overall legal mechanism.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for all the patience you had to answer each and every question. And also for the wonderful presentation and videos that you showed us. It kept the whole session in a very optimistic light for the first half. And yes, also after listening to each and every answer from you, I still feel a lot of hope and optimism. And I do feel just like Prasad sir, it is the right time for all of us to sort of get into it, sort of raise our voices collectively, and as Sridhar sir said, bring the effect of the collective consciousness to the governance also. Um, Thank you so much for joining us, sir. You'll see a breakout room link on your screen pop up shortly. You can kindly take over and mention anything you'd like to the viewers before you click the button. And
yeah. Thank you so much, Trishant, and it was a pleasure to be back at WishwaTalks and have this open conversation on quality of life. It's important that we focus on this over the next 2-3 decades if we want to have the demographic dividend and climate change, both of them not to hit us worse than it can be. And I think that the solutions for both these lie in our collective ability to maneuver forward. And I do appreciate all the engagement, the questions, and the comments made. And I look forward to being in touch with everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me, and have a great weekend.
Thank you for joining us, sir. I'll see you in the breakout room shortly.
Yes,
requesting all the viewers to kindly rejoin us for our future sessions. I'm going to share the link of this particular talk in the chat box shortly, so that you can share it with anybody who'd like to go through it, and also amplify the message we are trying to pass on. We require everybody to come and join these kind of talks so that we can also have certain more important figures joining us who can directly affect the implementation of policies, and also larger groups of people like activists and NGOs who can directly give more inputs to such conversations. Here is the link of the chat box. Kindly ask everyone to interact in the comment section. Thank you for joining us. I hope to see you all next week again.